Agrodome in Regina, Saskatchewan. This is the Labatt Canada Cup, and today's game features Czechoslovakia and Sweden. Welcome to Regina for this very important game between the Czechs and the Swedes. Both clubs in kind of a must-win situation in this 1987 Canada Cup tournament. Joining me on the broadcast crew once again, play-by-play man Don Chevrier and color analyst Bill Clement.
And Steve, both these teams have played up to and then below their potential. The Swedes knock off the Soviets, and then lo and behold, they lose to the Americans. The Czechs, a tie against Canada, they were whitewashed by the Soviet Union in their second game, so certainly a must-win. And Bill, with two European teams, it could very well be a wide-open hockey game, too.
I think it should be for two reasons. Number one, neither one of these teams stresses team defense. They're very offensive, and they both skate very well. And while we talk very often about games being won and lost in the defensive zone, I think the neutral zone will be a very important area because that's where the Swedes will try and slow down the Czechs and vice versa, but it should be a fast game.
It'll be a pivotal game, certainly, for the teams in this series because four just make the playoffs. I recall the Czechs not making it the last time the Canada Cup was played. So a big one for both. We're almost set to go. Steve?
All right, Don, and we'll be back to the Agrodome in Regina in just a moment for the opening ceremonies and the opening face-off in this game between Czechoslovakia and Sweden. This is the Labatt Canada Cup.
Susie, if you call your husband after the game, you got to ask for the baseball score. Okay. Okay. This is the Agrodome in Regina, the capital of the province of Saskatchewan in Western Canada, with a junior hockey tradition dating back to just after the turn of the century. The team that plays here is the Regina Pats. They set many on to the National Hockey League, but today two European teams, Sweden in the yellow and Czechoslovakia in the red. A good matchup for these keen hockey fans here in Saskatchewan today, and an important game in terms of the Canada Cup. Now let's go to the public address announcer, Kim Camarda, for the opening ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the lineups for today's game. First, the starting lineup for Team Czechoslovakia. In goal, number 2, Dominik Hasek. Defenseman, number 9, Yaroslav Benek. Defenseman, number 28, Momir Bozik. At center, number 24, Yuri Hrdina. The right winger, number 19, David Volek. The left winger, number 15, Yuri Dolozhov. And now, the starting lineup for Team Sweden. The goaltender, number 1, Peter Lindmark. Defenseman, number 2, Anders Eldebrink. Defenseman, number 3, Tommy Albelin. Center iceman, number 16, Bent Åke Gustafsson. The right winger, number 26, Mats Naslund. The left winger, number 23, Peter Eriksson. As is the custom in international hockey, the two captains, Czechoslovakia's number 21, Dusan Pashek, and Team Sweden's number 16, Bent Åke Gustafsson, will now exchange gifts on behalf of their teams. And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing the members of the official party for the ceremonial face-off. His Worship, the Mayor of Regina, Mayor Larry Schneider. And Mr. Trent Fraser, Marketing Representative, Labatt's Saskatchewan Brewery. Will the captains please come to center ice? Thank you, Mr. Pashek, Mr. Gustafsson, Mr. Schneider, and Mr. Fraser. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please rise for the playing of the national anthems of Team Czechoslovakia and Team Sweden. To play the national anthems, Miss Denise Leszek.
Of two young teams a long way from home. From Regina, Saskatchewan, this is the Labatt Canada Cup. This is the one time when names on the back don't help you for this.
Something on these rolls.
And as you look at the members of the Czechoslovakian team, a bit of an enigma, this team. They're up one year and down the next, Bill.
They sure are. They were the world champs in 1985, and in 1986, they just about fell into the B pool. So for that reason, coming into the Canada Cup, they're basically the Jekyll and Hyde team. We still don't know what to expect from them.
Dominik Hasek is the goalie for Czechoslovakia. And the Czechs start with Hrdina at center. Dolezal on the left side, Volek on the right. For Sweden, it is Gustafsson centering Nielsen and Naslund. So an experienced and familiar line to many hockey fans in North America. Hasek, a goalie to be reckoned with. He held the Soviets to 4, Canada to 4, two high-powered teams. The Swedes, well, as we say, they're much more familiar, Bill.
They sure are, but I think the story of this lineup, Don, is the numbers and names that are not on this lineup. 5 major players declined invitations, including Tomas Sandstrom of the New York Rangers, along with his teammate Jan Eriksson, Patrick Sundstrom from Vancouver, Pelle Eklund from Philadelphia, and Tomas Steen from Winnipeg. So this lineup could be stronger than it is.
And a solid goaltender in Peter Lindmark, who played for Team Sweden when they won the World Championships for the first time in 25 years. They won the 87 championship, of course, I'm referring to in Vienna after he joined them in the 86 Worlds in Moscow. The referee is an American, Paul Stewart. The linesman from Canada, Ron Finn, and from the Soviet Union, Michael Galanovsky. They are restless and eager to go here to get the first period underway in a pivotal game for both these teams. Gustafsson wins the draw, but the Czechs pick it up inside their own blue line. It should be wide open hockey, as we told you. David Volek for Czechoslovakia down in the Swedish corner. Stays on his feet and swings it across the goal crease and all the way back to center ice. This is Benek for Czechoslovakia. Playing it ahead to Hrdina, his center, and now back to the defense player. Already the indication of wide open, loose, entertaining hockey we have here this afternoon. Eldebrink sending the attacker away, and the shot. Eriksson is gloved by Hasek Hosek in goal for Czechoslovakia.
There's a look at Tommy Sandlin, Sweden's head coach. And, you know, when the 5 players that I just mentioned declined invitation, he really felt that there was collusion amongst NHL general managers and was very angry. And I think when he found out that they had simply chosen not to represent their country, his anger turned into just disappointment and sadness, having 5 key guys out from a team that won the World Championship. You would think that they would love to play for a team that's the reigning world champions, but they decided not to.
Dusan Hasek won the faceoff for Czechoslovakia, but checking by Sweden contains it at the blue line. Now Hasek comes away at the Swedish line, waits for a line mate to get onside, and the players whistle down well back of the play, pushing and shoving, and a left foot thrown by Thomas Lundqvist of Sweden there, the Czechoslovakian player, Shrubov.
You know, these two countries traditionally have great matchups. You can tell the sparks are flying already.
This is the Labatt Canada Cup. No score, but penalties go to each team. Rundqvist and Liba for their little pushing and shoving match at the Czechoslovakian blue line. And unlike the NHL, when offsetting penalties don't affect the manpower shortage, the teams are down to 4 attackers plus the goalies now. There they are, Rundqvist on the left. As play resumes here in Regina, Saskatchewan. Second minute of the first period of this game. Good body check thrown there by Carlson for Sweden. And the Swedes come away at center ice. Nelson waits for the pass. Bergqvist backpedals to the center ice area. The Czechs trying to break it up and do right in there. But Carlson carries on for Sweden. Fading away on the left boards, he lobs it in behind the net. Anderson chasing it. Back on the right point, the slap shot. Partially screens, blocks the rebound, and down goes Horschak to make the save for the Czechs. He's been tested early a couple of times now.
He sure has. His vision was tested on this one. The Swedes seemed bent early in the game on taking away Horschak's vision, and if you can do that, you can't imagine how much you accomplish in actually getting the puck by him. You can't stop what you can't see. Of course, Horschak's been around.
Jan Stasi, the coach of the Czechoslovakian team. Only a point to show for his efforts so far in the Canada Cup. That coming from a 4-4 tie with Canada. Czechoslovakia losing to the Soviet Union subsequently. The Swedes are 1-1. On they come now in the attack. That weak shot was blocked by the stick of Horschak on defense for Czechoslovakia. And from behind his own net now, Kedlets tries to bring it up the ice. Feeds it over on the right side for Horschak. The team's each a man short now with the double minors handed out. And it is indeed loose hockey. But Sweden unable to mount an attack as Sundstrom was taken down. Pretty body check thrown out there. Very limited contact so far. The checking is done with a stick. For the Swedes, here's a chance. Drop back from the slot and broken up very smartly by Ruzicka. And it's shot down the ice by Czechoslovakia. Icing will be called as Sweden picks it up. With 2 minutes and 15 seconds gone in the first period here. It is scoreless in Regina, Saskatchewan. Samuelsson working there with Sundstrom.
A lot of people who follow the National Hockey League will see that name Samuelsson. It will make them think of Alt Samuelsson of the Hartford Whalers. That is not Alt Samuelsson. Alt, for some reason, was good enough to play representing the National Hockey League against the Soviets at Rendezvous 87, the NHL All-Star Series, but wasn't chosen by Tommy Sandlin to even represent Sweden. A lot of eyebrows were raised at Alt Samuelsson being left off the list.
Yes, strange decisions were made. Anderson won the draw, but the Czechs bring it back. Here's Volk with it inside the blue line. He gets turned around. Michael Anderson cannot penetrate the Czechoslovakian blue line. Indeed, much of the play between the two blue lines so far. The only good scoring chances at the Czech end of the ice. In they come with Benyak going down. He gets turned around. A weak shot to the side of the goal handled by Peter Lindmark. And the Swedes finally bring it up the ice with Tommy Alvelin. Big wide for Anderson. Broken up there by Peter Volk for Czechoslovakia. The play very loose here and very disorganized in the first 3 minutes in Regina, Saskatchewan, as the two penalized players, Leva and Rundqvist, return to the ice. The teams are full strength. Long lead pass slides all the way through, but it's picked up by Czechoslovakia. Zerdina in front. The relay and the forehand shot by Dolezal forces Lindmark to make his best save of the tournament so far. Still scoreless. This is the Labatt Canada Cup.
Well, Peter Lindmark, Sweden's goalie, was the first goalie to be really tested. Here's Yuri Dolezal on a backhand. You see that Lindmark was out cutting down the angle. This will be a key line for the Czechs. It will be Dolezal, number 15. He'll be centered by Yuri Hrdina, number 24, and Peter Volek, number 19. There's a top line on this team.
Dolezal lost the face-off to Gustafsson. It's behind the Swedish net. Going the wrong way as Michael Telvin finally gets it up the boards, but the Czechs succeed in keeping it in. It is shot down to the corner by Hrdina. And they go in to fight for it there. Loose puck. And the goalie Lindmark has it in his glove. There'll be a stoppage of play with about 3.5 minutes gone here in the first period in Regina. No definite trends in this game so far. And it looks at this stage that neither team is that hungry to win it. Certainly one will break out of that mold soon. Here's Gustafsson. Of course, well known with Washington in the National Hockey League.
He sure is. They really missed him last year. You know, you can see his point totals in the NHL, but that doesn't tell the entire story. And by the way, Gustafsson will be back in Washington this year with some certain provisions that we hope to learn about between periods when he talks to Steve Cooney. But such a great penalty killer and a great defensive center. He's the guy that Washington uses against the Wayne Gretzkys of the National Hockey League. I know there's only one Gretzky, but Gustafsson gets to play against the top centers of the team, so he's a contributor in many ways.
Bad pass down the ice, but Sweden touched it, so icing is waved off the Czechoslovakian zone. Gustafsson battling for it behind the net now, giving it to Eriksson. They tie up against the backboards, and again, the play is whistled down by the American referee, Paul Stewart.
Don, we'll have to watch and see how strong defensively the Czechs are. I mentioned that they're a Jekyll and Hyde team. Their strength is down the center. Argentina number 24, there he sits. Also number 21, their captain, Dusan Patek, and number 17, Ružička. The problem with the Czech team is their youth. They average 23.6 years of age. They're the youngest team in the Canada Cup. Very young on defense. Bejnok and Horsheva are their oldest defensemen. They're 25 years old, and sometimes it takes a few years, those years of experience, to learn how to play strong defensive hockey.
The Canada Cup history indicates it's been a developing area for the Czechs. They seem to put more priority on the Olympics, certainly in the World Championship, than they do in this tournament. Good chance there for Sweden. Hard pass from the right side is handled by Hasek. In goal for Czechoslovakia, and back come the Czechs. Liba hits the line, but offside on the right side was Yuri Seba.
Well, both teams have been able to develop some steam in the neutral zone. We talked before the game about slowing down the opposition. You can see that the Swedes were able to penetrate the zone. Here, Hasek's forced to make a save. He goes down to make the save. You know, he is property of the Chicago Blackhawks. They drafted him in 1983, and he says, I patterned my style after Tony Esposito. And you can tell, we were watching to go down a lot, butterfly style, feet to the side with his pads covering the low angles. He gives something away up high, but he very seldom commits before the shot comes.
Now, what the Swedes are doing in this game is a repetition of the American game. They're making some bad passes. They have not been burned yet, but the danger is always there. That is offside once again, mistimed at the line as a Swedish player goes down in discomfort there. It is number 7, Tommy Samuelsson, likely caught a stick right at the blue line, and he's being attended to by a couple of teammates. The Swedish trainer makes his way out.
So while the Czechs have strength down the middle, they also have a little lack of discipline here. They're going offside. You can take a look at this crunch.
He took an elbow right there, took a good shot going down.
And I think the key, Don, was that he never saw it coming. It's one thing to know that you're going to get hit, even if it's an elbow up high, but when you get blindsided, easy to go down and not get up quickly.
And Samuelsson getting slowly across the ice. Thought it might have been a stick the way he went down there, but you'll see very plainly here that it's a good elbow and a right to match from the Czechoslovakian opponent.
And you could tell the Czech player didn't even care about getting back onside. He knew he was going to commit an offside, but it's been a chippy game so far. It looks as if they're going to go for the hits early, sacrifice the offsides and kill the play, just to establish a bit of contact out there.
Not a lot of good hits, but a lot of cheap ones, chippy ones, if you suggest, Bill. No real flow or rhythm yet to this game. Approaching the 5-minute mark here this afternoon, it is still scoreless. Czechoslovakia's Starviana taken off the puck. A break for Sweden here, but Starviana wins it back. And now this is Ružička. They get the line. Russell, left wing pass, sees it. Jumped in front, still loose. There's the shot in. Lindmark with a sparkling save off number 17, Ružička.
I'm not sure he knew where it was going, but he sure knew where it ended up. He was sprawling his cover low on Ružička, and we'll take a look at it. Here again, a bit of speed coming through the neutral zone. The Swedes, you can see a couple of guys standing watching the puck carrier. That's why the Czechs are able to penetrate the zone. Then there's a bit of a breakdown once you leave your feet, and that's what one of the Swedish defensemen did. He's in no man's land. Ružička fires. Watch Lindmark's left hand, his glove hand.
Fine save. And the Czechs try to maintain the pressure inside that Swedish zone. It is on the near boards for Pettersson, and he shoots it across the ice just inside the Czechoslovakian blue line. The Czechs get there first with Volk in charge. In behind the net, playing it on the right boards for Kedlitz. Throwing Kedlitz starts it up from the left side and reaches the center red line. Pettersson buffing there for possession. Still loose in the center ice area. Pettersson back to his defense player on the Swedish blue line. That is Telvin. Relays it to Michael Anderson. He sends it down the ice behind the Czechoslovakian goal. This is Bejnok now. Coming away over his blue line. Being watched by 3 Swedish defenders. And it's left right there for Valak. Vladislav Valak. Plays it over on the right side now. A lot of circling and skating, but as I said earlier, mostly in the center ice area. A couple of good saves at either end, but not many great scoring chances so far. The Europeans, though, will skate and pass much more than they'll shoot, Bill, as the play's whistle down here. We'll get back to that in just a moment here in a scoreless game in the first period from Regina. This is the Labatt's Canada Cup. Well, here in an afternoon in Regina, Saskatchewan, why go to school if the two top hockey teams in the world are in town? Two of them anyway, and that's what those young fellas are doing. But outside here, it is 80 degrees and sunny, a beautiful day. But inside, the action heating up on the ice between Sweden and Czechoslovakia. Horshava with it, circling in behind his own goal now, and feeding it around the right side for Bojic. Up it comes to center ice on the stick of Johnson. Johnson left it there for teammate Peter Eriksson. It's whistled down offside the Czechoslovakian line. 13:22 to go in this period.
You know, anyone that has watched the Swedes over the years just has to take a look at the game that we're seeing today, and you really notice a difference in how they play physically. I think the NHL has taught the Swedes a lot of how to compete internationally. Big hit just then on Bojic by Gustafsson, who's going back to the Washington Capitals this year. They're not afraid to play physical hockey. I think the Finns would be the last team in the world to adopt a physical style. The Swedes are there, much stronger than they used to be and willing to mix it up.
Well, the first Europeans to come to the NHL, of course, came from Sweden. As you see now, 100 over the years have played hockey in North America professionally.
And you know, Don, the early ones paid the price. They had a reputation. It was plain and simple. The Swedes have no guts, and they came into the National Hockey League, and some of the pioneers paid a very high price, but they broke trail, and they made way for a lot of these brilliant players that are in the NHL now.
Here is Nielsen hitting the Czechoslovakian line, and he is turned away. Yeah, they said of early Swedish players they could carry a dozen eggs and none would be broken at the end of the game. But that has all changed now. Rundqvist with it. Sweden really having trouble mounting a serious attack, coordinating against Czechoslovakia. Rundqvist now will try it up the left side. A good sweeping forecheck by Czechoslovakia as they meet them at center ice, not their own blue line. Rundqvist takes it inside now, but Nielsen was offside, so they mistimed another offensive thrust with 12:25 to go in the first period.
You mentioned the afternoon crowd. They're decidedly cheering for Sweden. And I think one of the reasons is a guy like Ken Nilsson. He's very recognizable since he won a Stanley Cup with the Edmonton Oilers last year, along with Mats Naslund when his name was announced. Of course, he's a star of the Montreal Canadiens. So the Swedes are far more recognizable than the Czechs. And the crowd seems to be pulling for the team in yellow. Their strength, before this game started, I was going to mention it's on one line. Gustafsson, Naslund, and Nilsson. But Sandlin has pulled Nilsson off that top line and has him working with another couple of players to try and, I think, even the strength. So that
yeah, distribute it better.
Right.
Now it comes ahead now for Sodergren. He relays it down to the Czechoslovakian zone, and Hošek leaves it behind his own goal. They're certainly skating well enough, but not too well coordinated. That shot was from Anderson, a high rising drive handled by Hošek, and goal for the Czechs. But the Swedes are unable to keep it inside Czechoslovakia's blue line for a sustained period of time. Here's Sava now, rink wide to Sherban. Sherban winding for the shot and off the stick of goalie Peter Lindmark. A fine save on the short side to keep this game scoreless. You're watching the Labatt Canada Cup. Vladimir Ruzicka getting set to square off against Michael Anderson. The Czechoslovakian wins it, but it floats all the way back inside the Czech zone. They've played a little over 8 minutes of scoreless Canada Cup hockey in the first period here in Regina, Saskatchewan today. The passes, again, are just mistimed. Not just in Sweden's part, certainly on the part of Czechoslovakia as well. This is Horshava behind his own net. Had to leave it there. The goaltender comes out to poke it away. Hošek. Now off the right boards, but still inside the Czechoslovakian zone. Now they get it free and come away one-on-one. Drop pass is made. The relay right in front from Horshava. He couldn't get it across the ice. And Tommy Samuelsson, who was shaken up earlier with an elbow, can't clear it over the line. It's whistled down for a face-off, which will come just inside Sweden's blue line.
There's number 17 for the Czechoslovakian team, Vladimir Ruzicka. He looks bigger than he is, perhaps because of the difference in his size and his teammate's size. He's 6'2", 205, and by North American standards, that's not a huge player. But compared to a lot of his Czech teammates, mentioned that they're young, 23.6 average. They're not a very big hockey team, but like the Soviets, very strong, and it's all based around balance.
Eldebrink behind the Swedish goal, rattles one hard off the glass, and that'll sail directly down the ice, just to the left of goaltender Dominik Hosek of Czechoslovakia. The Swedes laying back, allowing, to this stage at least, the Czechs to bring it out of their own zone. A dangerous pass there. Sweden intercepting. Here is the backhand shot. Just goes wide from the stick of Mats Naslund of the Montreal Canadiens, the 27-year-old attacker, and it slides back to Sweden's zone. That'll be icing, picked up by Sweden's Eldebrink. So the face-off right back on the doorstep of Hosek here. This is the Labatt Canada Cup. Still scoreless in Regina, Saskatchewan, in the heart of the wheat fields of Western Canada here today. Czechoslovakia and Sweden on the ice in a pivotal game in the Canada Cup round-robin tournament to determine the 4 semi-finalists to play for the Cup in about a week's time. Nielsen for Sweden regains the puck at his own blue line as the Swedes are backing up all the way to organize this attack. Now they begin to bring it forward, and it's tipped over the boards. Again, not a very aggressive style of play shown by either team, certainly not by Sweden so far.
No, you will see so many times European philosophy which contrasts American philosophy, and that is retreat to develop the attack. So they'll keep moving back. That time they almost backed themselves into a face-off to the right of Lindmark, but it went over the glass because it hit a Czechoslovakian stick when the face-off was outside the blue line. But that is something we'll watch for, especially drop passes. The Czechoslovakians not only make a lot of drop passes, but they sniff out the drop passes very well that other teams make and turn the play off ice very quickly.
Here's Rundqvist coming in on the left side. He was stick-checked by Stavjana in the Czechoslovakian corner, but the Swedes keep it in. Anderson's blast to the left point sails wide. Over on the right side now, Michael Telvin keeps it in play right in front. Oh, and a great scoring chance. Sundstrom fanned on a wide-open opportunity. And it comes back inside Sweden's blue line on the stick of Peter Anderson again. One of Sweden's better scoring chances was missed just there. That'll be called icing. Face-off down on the Swedish zone to Lindmark's left. Hosek, very lucky there. The Swedish attacker didn't get much wood on that shot.
And I think he had help from his centerman. If I'm not mistaken, it was Ruzicka that came back in deep. And we talked about the youth of the defenseman. Very often a symptom of immaturity in defensemen is being out of position, and you can see that number 17 for Sweden, Sundstrom, was left all alone in front of Hosek, but they recover very quickly, and it's so key that the centermen be strong. I mentioned that the Czechs have strength down the middle. That's especially important to help out their young defense, because the centermen in most hockey systems in the world have responsibilities in virtually every area of the ice, including in front of their net.
Bergqvist smartly brings it up the ice now, 2-on-2 with Sodergren. Bergqvist shot way out of the goal comes Hosek to cut down the angle and make a save for Czechoslovakia, keeping this game scoreless. Reminder that this telecast is protected by copyright, and any use without permission is strictly prohibited.
No, that last save was kind of uncharacteristic of Hosek, especially because the Swedes had someone going wide. We won't see him move out and attack and challenge as much as a classic stand-up goalie, but in this particular case he does. Here's Blomqvist's shot. Watch how far out Hosek is. You can't see that to his left, one of the Swedes is barreling in, and very often he stays back, goes down, and challenges the shooter with his reflexes. That time he decided to challenge on an angle basis. Come out, take away the net.
Anders Karlsson, who plays also for the New Jersey Devils, lost it there, but Sweden gets it right back. Intercepted by Cheka for Czechoslovakia. And that play is whistled down now, and there'll be a penalty called just to the left of the goal on the Labatt Canada Cup.
Team Sweden penalty to number 18, Jonas Bergqvist. 2 minutes for tripping at 10 minutes 55 seconds.
Who is it?
Bergqvist. Bergqvist will cool off for a couple of minutes. A tripping call.
I think it was kind of a case of being at the wrong place at the wrong time with his stick. Watch number 18 from Sweden just
try and lay his stick on him, but he put it right between the Czech skater's legs, and the Czech basically tripped over his stick.
Yeah, hardly a classic tripping infraction, but he's gone nonetheless. And Czechoslovakia now is on the attack, but it's in their zone. Sweden trying to forestall and forecheck the Czechoslovakian team, and it's picked up and shot in by Eldebrink. He lets it go wide of the net, comes around on the near point for Nielsen. Nielsen with a stick check there by Horsheva. And the Czechoslovakian team forming up very slowly now as they come away to center ice. Russell leaves it at the Swedish blue line. That allows plenty of time for Albolin to shoot it down to the Czech zone and take some of the heat off with a minute 20 still left in the penalty to Bergqvist. Broken up again, almost at center ice. Russell carrying in, gets taken down by Peter Anderson, and it's left there for Rundqvist to shoot it across the ice. Rink-wide pass to Sundstrom, who has played for the Rangers and for the Washington Capitals of the National Hockey League. Hrdina now circling on the left for Czechoslovakia. Dumps it around behind the goal for Volek. Back on the point for Horsheva. Ruzicka has it. Back for Horsheva again. Plays it down for Hrdina. Ruzicka across the goal mouth is poked away by the glove of Peter Lindmark and comes all the way out to center ice. Down goes the Swedish player Sundstrom, but no penalty call, and some of the fans here think that one might have been called. The play goes right on. Rosol for Czechoslovakia brings it across to Benik. That's broken up. Swedes almost got a breakaway there. Rolls inside the Czechoslovakian zone. Johnson with it. He digs it back. Naslund plays it back off the board as Sweden kills off now what is just 10 seconds of penalty time remaining. It is blasted down the ice, and in effect, they indeed have killed off the 2-minute sentence to Bergqvist. He steps on the ice, and the teams are back at full strength now with 7 minutes to play in the first period. Seiba couldn't control a rolling puck. Slides inside the Swedish zone. Leva down the boards, back to keep it there for Czechoslovakia. The centering pass from Seiba goes sailing wide. Deflection in front, almost poked in there by Pashek. And back to center once more for Czechoslovakia. Bojic playing it in. Got back to the face-off circle. Pressure here from the Czechs. Here's Bojic's shot from a distance back at the point. Broken up, and the Swedes come back 3-on-2. Two players get tied up behind the play. Bergqvist for Naslund. Naslund in front. Oh, redirected just wide of the goal by number 7, Tommy Samuelsson. And the bodies fly as the whistle sound here as they whistle it down for a face-off with 6:21 to go in the Czechoslovakian zone. Scoreless on the Labatt Canada Cup.
There's a recognizable face to people who follow the Montreal Canadiens. Mats Naslund. Here was a rush. You'll see Naslund get the puck, and he's forced to dump it in front. I think that was number 8, Bainok, that actually got a piece of that when it just about deflected it by Hasek, but what a 160-pound ball of TNT Naslund is. He doesn't take a backward step from anybody. He doesn't care about size.
He makes things happen. And he almost produced the first goal of the game by setting up Samuelsson there. About 6 minutes to play in the first period, still scoreless in Regina, Saskatchewan. As Anders Eldebrink leaves it on the right boards, the Swedes coming ahead now at the blue line with Carlson hitting the center red line. He got turned around and flips it to the Czechoslovakian bench. So they will face off at the center ice area once again. Again, no definite trend in this game. Dr. Jan Starcy is the coach of the Czechoslovakian team.
We mentioned earlier in the show the Jekyll and Hyde aspect of the Czechoslovakian team. In the 1984 Canada Cup, they didn't win a game. They had one tie, and that was against West Germany. 1985 World Championships, they won a gold. 1986, they just about fell into the B pool and were so embarrassed they lost to Poland in the World Championship. They've been up and down. They won the Calgary Cup, which was just this past winter in Calgary, a pre-Olympic tournament, but they're up and down.
Here the Czechs wheeling dangerously in the Swedish zone. Lindmark called upon to make a fine save there from point-blank range. Over on the right boards, it is Albolin. Feeds it ahead for Bergqvist. Relays on the right side. The shot from the angle. They score. Yeah. Sweden strikes first. That was number 12, Michael O'Sullivan it was. Putting it in with Bergqvist on the play. We'll have a look at it here.
What a fabulous give and go. I want to try and see where the Czechs break down. Here's Bergqvist. over to Sodergren, and you can see that the defenseman turned to Sodergren. He really didn't have much choice. That's what sprung Bergquist loose. Here's Bergquist, 2 men on him. They both leave him. Great pass from Sodergren. You can see that Bergquist has just blown by his man. Hasek, in that case, has to rely on the man coming back in red to take the goal scorer out of the way and out of the play. It didn't happen. Sweden leads 1-0.
So the goal goes to Bergqvist, relaying that wrist pass or shot in from the edge of the goal crease. It's 1-0 Sweden with 5:20 to play now in the first period. Long flash goes wide of the Czechoslovakian zone, and it appears the Swedes have been given life by that goal. They battle for it. Anderson can't keep it in, however. And it's shot back the ice by the Czechoslovakian attacker Dolje. Back come the Czechs. 2-on-2. Lindmark left the rebound there. They poke away at it. Down he goes. It is under him or the defense player somewhere. And the play is stopped. But a dangerous scoring thrust there by Bolek and Hrdina.
We'll try and get a look and see why Lindmark could not get to the rebound. He ended up down. Here's Hrdina going the wrong way, and he gets pretty good wood on his shot. I think that's what surprised Lindmark. You could see Hrdina was skating completely cross ice. It's so tough to get a lot of wood on your shot. There's Lindmark. I think he's partially under Anderson, and then it's actually Anderson, his defenseman, that's down on the ice taking a beating from everyone, including Lindmark, who came down with a stick to try and keep the puck under Anderson.
But he had it, and they'll get a second life now. Face off to the left of Peter Lindmark. Sweden leading by a score of 1-0. Samuelsson behind his own goal tries the right side for the Swedes. Sliding it ahead to center ice as he went down on the play, and Naslund comes in to help out. They jam away, and finally it's shot down to the corner by Peter Eriksson. Goalie taken down in the crease as he came back across the edge of the goal mouth. Hasek. Now here come the Czechs. Coming out 2-on-2. It's the Saba. He is turned away from the right side. Rolling into the corner, they battle for it there. Pile of bodies behind the Swedish goal, and they whistle that one down with 4:15 to play.
I'll tell you who's been crashing into people and who just pulled down Hasek, the Czech goalie at the other end, is number 16, Bent Gustafsson. He must be gearing up for a National Hockey League season because he has tried to hit just about everything that's moved, and he's made contact more than 50% of the time. And at the other end, that was who dumped Hasek, was Gustafsson cutting right in front of his crease.
Well, I hope that his teammates at training camp are forewarned that he is ready. Maybe a little more ready than they are when the camp starts.
Well, he's come a long way, Don. He's really worked on his upper body strength, and he's a far more determined athlete than he was when he first came over. And I think it's just a matter of getting the confidence and saying, hey, I can compete in the NHL on a physical basis. And once you prove that to yourself, you can go places.
Shot from the point, still loose at the Swedish zone. Now they pick it up, and the referee comes in, Paul Stewart, to whistle it down and signify a holding penalty, it would appear.
Now he's having words. It's number 9, Lundqvist. He's having words with Ruzicka. And boy, would I like to have a hidden mic between them. You figure Ruzicka...
would you?
I'm not sure that Ruzicka understood what number 9 for Sweden, Lundqvist, was saying.
Maybe it's the tonal quality of the conversation they understand.
Here we go. Center of your screen. You can see number 18 for Czechoslovakia. That is Lubina. The hold that Paul Stewart spotted. Now it's to the left of your screen. Now he has a hold of his stick. He could have called a couple on him.
Yes, he could have. But Lundqvist gets the 2-minute holding sentence. So Czechoslovakia with a chance to tie it on the power play here before this period ends. 4 minutes left in period 1. Nielsen brings it out for Sweden. Now he will backtrack as the penalty killing unit goes to work for the Swedes. Ahead of him is Sundström. Coming in over the blue line, Nielsen got turned back. For Sundström, Nielsen again stick checked and is picked up by Peter Rossall as the Czechs bring it across the Swedish line. Boy, a lot of cheap stuff going on here away from the play. It's hard to keep up with it all. Those sticks are very, very busy on the legs of the opponents. Horseshoe waiting back on the point, accepts the pass, puts it down in the circle, out in front of the relay. Lindmark to save, rebound is still loose, and the Swedes shoot it down the ice. But a good close-in scoring chance there for Peter Rossall for Czechoslovakia as both teams change on the go now, midway in the holding penalty to Sweden. And again, very slowly, very deliberately, they bring it up the ice. Good body check at center ice there by Tommy Alvelin breaks that attack up. Czechs going backward to get the attack going forward. Finally bring it up the ice. Dolezal at the blue line is taken down, and he is in some discomfort there. As the play is whistled down, he got leveled as he hit the Swedish line.
Well, I think inadvertently he was fed a wood sandwich. I mean, it looked as if he actually broke a stick. We're watching now, and you can't see on your picture, but there's a stick that's broken right in two, and I think it caught him up high, perhaps under the neck. We'll see if we can get a look at it. Here he's.
He got clothesline.
There's the
right
stick.
there.
He got clothesline right under his chin, and his stick was broken right in two. But Sweden really playing a physical game, Don. That time the Swedish defenseman stood up on him and really forced him to make contact with them, and that's, I think, been the difference in the first period. Sweden has really taken the physical play to the Czechs, especially in Czechoslovakia's zone, and I think part of the reason they're up 1-0 is that they've been carrying it to them physically.
You saw that long look from coach Dr. Jens Starzy expecting a penalty on the play, but none was called. Still 34 seconds to go in Sweden's penalty. The Czechs have that much time left on the power play. Now we're going to have some Czechoslovakian company in the penalty box. Along with another Swede, a couple of minors being called here by referee Paul Stewart. Send off Sundström for Sweden. And a very reluctant Dolezal has to be persuaded that, yes, you're going to sit down for 2 minutes, too.
Well, what he was doing, Don, was wiping his neck and trying to get some blood on his fingers to show Paul Stewart. I'm not sure if Paul would have said anything other than, gee, that's too bad. Looks like you got a cut neck.
Maybe you cut yourself shaving this morning.
Reopened a nasty shaving wound.
Exactly. He wasn't buying it, that's for sure. Finn and Stewart talk it over now, the American referee and the Canadian linesman, as the puck rolls into the Swedish zone with 2 minutes and 35 seconds to play. In 25 seconds, they'll be back to even strength again, but for now, the Czechs still have the man advantage. Sweden with only 3 attackers in front of Peter Lindmark on the ice. So the Czechs have to move smartly to capitalize on this if they can. Rosal was turned back. He'll try it again now. Plays it over on the right side. Starvania, Rosal, drop pass back to Staviana. Over on the left side now, back to Staviana again, taking all kinds of time. There's the shot, and it's high and it's wide. And back on the ice comes Lundqvist, the penalized player. So they've killed off now some power plays on 2 occasions where they turned back Czechoslovakia. Less than 2 minutes to play in the period. Held on the line. A hard shot by Staviana, handled easily by goalie Peter Lindmark. The battle continues along the boards. Held in on the right point, though, for the Czech. Horsova, here's a break. The race to the puck. Goalie coming out. It's won easily by Hasek. Way out of the net to cut off the oncoming Thomas Lundqvist.
Boy, he didn't want to take any chance on that one. That's always the gamble. You have to make a split-second decision. That time, Hasek won. Here's a look at Rosal, one of the top forwards on the Czechoslovakian team. You can see him wearing a jaw protector. And Don, I caught part of the first game of this tournament between Czechoslovakia and Canada, and I'm not sure I remember him wearing that. That might have happened in their game either against the Soviet Union or perhaps even against the Canadians in their first game of the Canada Cup.
Whatever it is, he doesn't want it happening again. A minute 39 to play in the period. Each team a man short now. With the double minors assessed a short time ago, they will be for the next 50 seconds. Hasek brings it away for Czechoslovakia. Leva with Hasek trailing on the play. Swings into the face-off circle. His drive goes wide of the Swedish goal. Here's the shot from the right side by Boji. That missed the mark. Nielsen now for Sweden. 30 seconds to go in the double minor penalties. These European teams have a little more room out of the ice with a man each in the penalty box. But no sustained attack yet. Is dug back by Tommy Samuelsson to his own blue line. Now set ahead for Eklund. He comes away and leaves it in the Czechoslovakian zone. Less than a minute to play in period 1. Sweden on top by a goal over Czechoslovakia. The Swedes forechecking now between the Czech blue line and the center red line very effectively. It is forced inside the zone. Gojika hammered into the boards there, but he forced the puck down to the Swedish end. Now this is Anders Carlson from the New Jersey Devils. Brings it away for Sweden. 2 Czechs jump on him with 30 seconds to play in the period. They chop away at center ice. Now they come inside the Swedish blue line. Shot down the boards by Peter Vogt. Round to the right side. Held in by Herdina. Back to Hrdina from block. Hrdina bumping there in the corner with Michael Telvin. Sticks go high. The puck is down under their skates somewhere and finally comes loose in the grasp of Czechoslovakia. Here's Black with a shot. And down goes Peter Lindmark to hang on with just 7 seconds to go in the period.
Well, the Czechs just showed us what they can do on one-on-one situations, those confrontations in the corner. It's been Sweden that's been taking most of the physical play to Czechoslovakia, but in that particular case in the corner, they came up with the puck, and all the Swedes were standing around watching, and as a result, Black had a great scoring chance on Peter Lindmark, ended up shooting it right into him, but you just can't lay back. The Czechs might be a little weak and a little lax defensively, although they haven't shown us much of a problem defensively. They're very explosive, especially on breakaway passes. We can watch for them trying to thread that long needle pass up the middle tonight at one point.
They've actually outshot Sweden 12-9, but the goal belongs to the Swedes. Lindmark has been equal to all tests so far in goal for Sweden. Swedes will bring it up the ice to the blue line now in the final second to play in the first period, which ends with Sweden in charge by a score of 1-0. On the goal by Bergqvist at the 14:30 mark from Sodergren here in the opening period of Canada Cup play in Regina, Saskatchewan. A choppy first period that the two coaches, I'm sure, will discuss with their teams, and maybe the flow will pick up for us in the second period. There were half a dozen penalties in that first period as well. And so Sweden leads by a score of 1-0 after 1. This is the Labatt Canada Cup.
After one period of play, the score is Team Sweden 1, Czechoslovakia 0. The Swedes taking the lead on a goal by Jonas Bergqvist. That came late in the opening period. Joining me now in our intermission studio is, I guess, what you would call hockey's most wanted man in 1986-87. The Washington Capitals wanted Bengt Gustafsson. Sweden wanted Bengt Gustafsson. You ended up going back to Sweden. The obvious question, why?
Well, those 7 years I had in Washington was great years, but my body and my head started saying, no, it's not too much for me. So I was thinking go home and lay back and get a civil life again and get a regular work and live normal for a while.
Did it work for you? Was it worth it?
It was worth it, yes. Excellent year back home. I got my appetite back for hockey, and I really enjoyed that year back home. It was a relaxing year for me.
So now it's from Bofors of the Swedish League back to the Washington Capitals again for the upcoming season. What made you decide to return?
Well, I said the year was good for me back home, but I missed a lot of things. It was great over here, the big arena, the big games, and a lot of people around, and there's a knowledge of hockey is very big over here. So I missed all that things, and the year back home was good for me. I played with national team all year. We won the World Championship, and after that, it's not much left to win. So I said the only thing I really don't have yet is the Stanley Cup. So I want that thing. I had to go to play in NHL, so I went back.
Now, we in North America are led to believe that there is some kind of a special deal between you and the Capitals with regards to your coming back, a deal that had to be worked out between you and the Swedish team and the Capitals.
There was a lot of questions around my contract back home with Bofors, but in the end it worked out pretty good. And Washington didn't really have anything to do with the contract, because it was a deal between me and Bofors, and I'm glad we could work it out anyway. The
rumor was that you would now be able to, if you wanted to, go back and play with Sweden during the Olympics. Is that the case, that the Capitals could spring you loose?
No, that's not the case. Well, if they want, I would be certainly happy to play for Sweden, but I think the situation right now, they want me to play over there all the time.
Well, I know the Capitals are looking forward to having you back again. I know that National Hockey League fans are as well, because the Capitals in particular missed your offense.
Well, I think they had a little off start last year, it seems like, but in the last month of the season they played very well, and unfortunately they couldn't score in the playoffs, so they didn't make it all the way. But I hope with the new players we got right now, with it been dealing with this summer, it's going to look pretty good.
Bengt, good luck to you for the rest of the Canada Cup tournament throughout the NHL season coming up, and to Team Sweden.
Thank you very much.
We'll be back to the Agrodome in Regina in just a moment, where after one period of play, it's Team Sweden 1, Czechoslovakia 0. This is the Labatt Canada Cup. Sweden 1, Czechoslovakia 0. The goal scorer, Jonas Bergqvist. Joining me now in our intermission studio during this first intermission, the mayor of Regina, Mayor Lair, as he's called around here. I've got to congratulate you and the city, Mayor Schneider, on the fact that they were able to get behind these games so quickly because it wasn't until late in the preparations that Regina even knew there would be games in the Canada Cup coming to your city.
Well, I'll take it, because whenever there's good news, of course, usually other people get the credit for it. No, but sincerely, the citizens of Regina are hockey-smart people, and as a result of that, they have a tendency to appreciate all kinds of hockey, and we're particularly pleased that this level of hockey found its way, inadvertently, but found its way to Regina. We've got a tremendous networking system through the City Parks Hockey League and through other leagues that all intermesh with one another. And I think that if you were to look at the winter Regina hockey scene, you will find that we can't build enough rinks to accommodate the interest. So we have the expertise out there, the organizational expertise, and we've got the enthusiasm, and obviously we've got the crowds that make this Canada Cup series, at least our portion of it, a worthwhile contribution.
It doesn't hurt Regina's image either to be able to get behind something this quickly, something of this stature.
That's for sure. Being the capital city of the province, whenever there's any complaints, they bring them all to Regina to complain to the government, and as a result, we do get more than I think our fair share of public criticism, public negativeness. As a matter of fact, the citizens of Regina, you really have to pull them outside the city limits before they fiercely defend the fact they're from Regina. We seem to be concerned about that image. We do have a bit of a self-image problem, and we have to keep reinforcing the fact that, hey, this is a great place to live. Everybody that comes to our city as a visitor says, well, what are you people complaining about? This is a beautiful oasis in the middle of the prairies. The weather today is 30 degrees. Some people seem to think we're at the North Pole, but no, we're right in the middle of the grain belt, the breadbasket of the world.
And this is twice this year on U.S. national television, once with the Willie DeWitt fight and now with this. That's not bad.
That's not bad at all. Regina can do it. Just give us a challenge and we'll pick up the ball and run with it.
Mayor Larry Schneider, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you enjoy the rest of the hockey game and the rest of the Canada Cup.
Thank you. I will, and I, as an old hockey player myself, looking forward to that goaltender make some more great stops on both sides of the ice.
All right, we'll be back to the Agrodome in just a moment. Bill Clement will be along with his first period highlights. This is the Labatt Canada Cup. Joining me now in the intermission studio with his first period highlights, Bill Clement. And Bill, I don't know if it'll come as a surprise to you, but I think there are definitely people out there who may be a little shocked at that score.
Well, the quickest way to get two teams to play strong defensively is to sit here and do your open to announce to the world that it's not going to be a defensive hockey game, that it's going to be wide open. We have to remember we're talking about two of the best 6 hockey countries in the world, and they're capable of adjusting to all different styles. I think we'll see more goals as the game goes on, not only because there's 2 periods left, but they are offensive hockey teams. I was a little surprised they played well defensively.
All right, we're going to have a look right now at the Swedish goal, the only goal of the opening period.
Well, we had talked about speed through the neutral zone, and here come the Swedes. There's a lucky break here. That was actually a Czech that deflected the puck ahead to Bergqvist, and you can see the youth showing through on the Czech defenseman. He did a little corkscrew into the ice. Stodegren made an excellent pass, and Hasek, the Czech goalie, had absolutely no chance. Bergqvist simply tapped it into the net, so it was a great offensive play, but little help from the Czechs on a lax defensive play, too.
You need to score goals to win. You also need to have goaltending, and the Swedes, actually both teams have certainly had that today, particularly Sweden.
Yes, I think that Lindmark has been tested. Hasek as well, but Lindmark has held his ground when he had to, a couple of times especially. Once again, speed in the neutral zone. Here the Czechs break up the play. Watch what happens when there's no pressure placed on the Czechs in the neutral zone. The 2 yellow defensemen are backing in. There's Hrdina crossing the blue line, and here's where he handcuffs Lindmark. He got such a great shot away from such a poor angle that Lindmark was handcuffed and actually gave a rebound. You can see that the Czechs are hungry to score goals. They just jammed in there for the rebound, but Lindmark really hurt himself and created a problem for himself by leaving that rebound.
I don't know if Don Cherry or any of the people who maybe put a little bit of a knock on the Swedes for not being able to play physical hockey are watching this today, but if they are, it may be that they're going to learn something in this game, and that is the fact that this Swedish team has taken on a bit of a different personality.
I'm tired of people bad-mouthing the Swedes and saying that they don't have the courage to play in the National Hockey League. They've proved so many times over the years that that is not the case. I remember Lars Lindgren was a player for Vancouver that was a tough hitter, then Anders Hedberg and Ulf Nilsson, and here's Anders Carlson of the New Jersey Devils. Don't think he didn't learn anything in the NHL last year. Look at this hit. Boom. It's a top Regina hit right there, and the Czech left himself at a disadvantage. You could see he was trying to shoot it in, and once he turned his body, he had no way of stopping Carlson. Carlson draped him in. That was a big hit.
All right, Bill, thank you very much. We'll go back upstairs to Bill and Don Chevrier for the second period in just a moment. We're here at the Agrodome in Regina, Saskatchewan, where after 1 period the score is Sweden 1, Czechoslovakia 0. This is the Labatt Canada Cup. And there you have the story in a nutshell from the first period at the Regina Agridome today. Sweden getting the only goal of the opening 20 minutes. Jonas Bergqvist scoring at the 14:30 mark. Hans Sodergren got the assist. Shots on goal in that first period. And this is an indication of how good a job Peter Lindmark is doing in that Swedish net. Czechoslovakia out shooting Team Sweden by a margin of 12-9 in the penalty department. The Swedes took 4 of the 6 minors called in that opening frame. So the physical side of the game is showing through as well. And that just start that again. Just doesn't go for Sweden. It also goes for Czechoslovakia. There's a look at the standings in the Labatt Canada Cup as we head into today's action. The United States, the only team that has won both of its games so far, on top of the hit parade with 4 points. Canada next with a win and a tie. They have 3 points. Those two teams will also be meeting in another game in this tournament later on. The Soviet Union has 2 points. Sweden has 2 points, each with a win and a loss. Czechoslovakia with a loss and a tie and 1 point. Finland does not have a point to show for the 2 games they've played thus far. Now let's go upstairs to Don Chevrier and Bill Clement for the second period.
Thank you, Steve. And as you saw by those standings, indeed, this is a very crucial game for both these teams because the team that loses would be in imminent danger of not qualifying for the semifinals here. As we said, the Czechs didn't make it last time. The Swedes got off to such a roaring start against the Soviet Union Saturday in Calgary, winning that first game, then turning around and losing to the United States. So right now, the United States, while the Americans have their toughest game still ahead of them, that is, they must play the Soviets, the Canadians, and the Czechs. They're in pretty good shape in this tournament. Another tie or a win would qualify the Americans. And the Swedes know that. Their coach, Tommy Sandlin, has to be a little bit concerned, especially after a great start in the tournament, to see his team deteriorate so much in the second game. And while they lead in this one, they certainly haven't overwhelmed the Czechs.
And I think Sandlin might feel at this stage that they would have been better to lose to the Soviet Union and beat the USA. 1 win is what they got out of those 2 games, but they actually defeated the Russians and lost to the United States. And in Sandlin's mind, the United States was one of the teams they felt they could keep out of the Final Four. And as it stands now, the United States is the only team that's won their first 2 games.
And you saw a very concerned Czechoslovakian coach, Dr. Jan Starsi, there. His team is behind a goal in a game, as we say, they could ill afford to lose here at Regina, Saskatchewan today. It is the 3rd game for both these teams in the Canada Cup. And Starsi, with a lot of young players, as we have told you previously, he's watching them make their mistakes. He's been very tolerant with them here in this first period this afternoon. The team's in a free skating session right here as we await the resumption of play in the second period. The European teams will make one final spurt around the net and huddle with their goalies, last words, and finally get the period underway. The referee, Paul Stewart, a former hockey player in his own right and a wild man at times on the ice, Bill.
He started one of the biggest brawls in the history of the National Hockey League. It was between the New York Rangers and the Philadelphia Flyers, and it was in Madison Square Garden. I think he was playing for the Flyers. He decided to make a name for himself, and that he did. He didn't quite catch on and make it in the National Hockey League. That's one of the reasons we're seeing him in stripes today. Boy, he was a hard-nosed hockey player.
So a man who started fights has now got the job of stopping them.
Well, he knows all the techniques and tricks, doesn't he?
I'm sure he would by now. Ever think you'd like to referee this game?
Never.
Wise man.
Boy, you take a look at a couple of 225-pounders going at it out there. Of course, the head referee very seldom wades in between 2 people fighting. It's the linesmen that have that dirty chore, but at times it's just as dangerous for the guy with the stripes on his arms.
Yes, it is. Gustafsson with Naslund and Nielsen. Now Nielsen being replaced by Peter Eriksson as they have shifted Nielsen to the second line. It quickly hops into the Czechoslovakian bench, and they will drop the puck all over again outside the blue line.
There's Mr. TNT, Mats Naslund. Every time I see him now, I think of the first game of the Boston-Montreal series in this last National Hockey League season, where he took Kenny Linsman out with a body check. He just jumped into his chest, curled up in a ball. Linsman went down and took him forever to get back up. I'm not sure he knew where he was for the rest of the game.
Alvelin let it slide off the heel of his stick into the Czechoslovakian zone. Sweden now trying to press the left side. Peter Eriksson drives it down to the corner. Digging for it there is Naslund. Albalin trailing him, and again it hops out of play. Another stoppage in play. This 26 seconds into this second period. The Swedes on the goal at the 14:30 mark in the first period lead it by a score of 1-0.
Well, the Washington Capitals will once again have Bent Gustafson to take on the likes of Wayne Gretzky and Pat LaFontaine, all of the top centers from the opposition. Strong defensively and offensively.
Swedes swirling around the Czech zone now. Here's a blast from Eldebrink, and that is contained by the goaltender Hošek. Getting some support from one of his teammates there, Dolezal. One more look at it.
You know who was in the middle of it, too, by the time it all ended? Mats Naslund. There's Naslund coming from left to right. He'll just swing around. Hošek goes down as he usually does to make the save. There's Naslund trying to poke it home.
And Dolezal protecting his goaltender very nicely as soon as Naslund made a move for the rebound. From the face-off, this is Rundqvist winning the draw. The Czechs have it inside their own zone. And they swing away on the right side. Loose puck inside the Swedish zone. Here's a chance for Czechoslovakia, and it slid right across the goal crease. Saba couldn't get a good shot, but keeps the pressure up now. Here is the blast from Sherban. Back comes Sweden. Lob down to the right corner of Czechoslovakia. The edge of the crease and in behind the goal it goes. For the Swedes, Rundqvist coming up with it. He left it there. And Czechoslovakia comes away now. Trying to headman the puck to get it up to the center ice area. The shot is fake. Coming in from the left side. The shot is blocked by goaltender Peter Lindmark off the stick of Jiri Saba. It remains 1-0 Sweden. This is the Labatt Canada Cup. Ruzicka with Russell and Lubina on the ice for Czechoslovakia in the attacking zone to the right of goaltender Peter Lindmark. Sweden leading the Czechs 1-0 early in the second period. Back on the point now for Horseva. Takes it, hangs onto it, swings in behind the goal, tries to flip it out in front. It's turned back by Sweden. Across the crease it goes into the legs of Peter Russell. Delayed penalty on the play coming up here now. It comes out over the blue line. Swedes finally touch the puck, and the penalty is indicated by referee Paul Stewart against Sweden. It'll be for holding.
Well, I was watching Michael Telvin, 27 in yellow. I thought it was Telvin who was slashing away at Horseva. Turns out to be Peter Anderson. He's off for holding. You know, Horseva is such an exciting player. Here he is. Look at that big fake windup. He's number 4 for the Czechoslovakian teams, only 20 years old. Comes all the way around. You can see 27 Telvin hacking away at him. The hold is in front, center of your screen. That was Anderson dragging down one of the Czech attackers in front. But we can watch for Horseva, even as a defenseman, being all over the ice. He's hardly reluctant to move in on the attack.
They call it holding, but you won't see many better tackles in the National Football League. In the second minute of the second period, Sweden's Anderson in the penalty box, and the Czechoslovakian power play is in effect. Kedlitz backing up into the Swedish zone, or the Czechoslovakian zone, now bringing it forward. Over on the right side, this is blocked. He's taken down in the corner there. Puck is loose. Sweden comes up with it and shoots it down the ice. Eldebrink, the defender, taking care of that play. 1 minute and 30 seconds left in Sweden's penalty.
This is going to get old real quick. Sweden has yet to have a power play. Czechoslovakia, I believe this is their third power play. And make no mistake, they have the attackers.
Here's a chance. Loose puck and his shot back out. Sweeping in with a fairly weak shot was Ruzicka. But it was right on the target. Horseva losing a race in the corner for it, touched by Sweden. So on the power play, the Czechs committed an unpardonable sin, that of icing. With now 1:04 left in Sweden's penalty.
You know, I'm really surprised at the freedom that Coach Starshey gives to Horseva. That was Horseva that was racing down, trying to ward off that icing call. Number 4 for Czechoslovakia, literally all over the ice. He's not quite as young as I said he was. I said he's 20. He's 25 years old, and as a 25-year-old, he's the eldest statesman back there in defense.
Johnson has his shot tipped by Nielsen just wide of the mark. Kent Nielsen up the board. Can't contain it there. Shot back down to the Czech zone, though, and having to retreat is Banak. Now the Czechs bring it up to the center ice area. From the left side, Ferdina Turned away by two defenders. Rolls in behind the Swedish goal. Comes across to Nielsen here. He'll simply get it to the blue line, but not out. It is contained there by Dolezal. Down to the corner. Trying to work it in front. Over to the far side. Back on the point. Back to the right side again. Here's the point shot finally deflected wide of Lindmark. Off the boards it goes. The Czechs keep the pressure on. 15 seconds left in the penalty. Still inside Sweden's zone. The next shot. That is blocked by Lindmark. And finally cleared by Sweden back to the Czech zone.
Lindmark came so far out of his net to cut down the angle. He actually moved out past the hash marks beside the face-off dots.
And Anderson comes back on the ice. The Czechs now 0 for 3 on power plays today. But back they come with Sava skating in with it on the left side. Turned back in the corner. Rundqvist with it for Sweden. He loses possession, leaves it there. Forechecking by Czechoslovakia, wins the puck right in front of puck flash. And down goes Lindmark with a great scoring chance denied by Dusan Paschek. It remains 1-0 for the Swedes. This is the Labatt Canada Cup.
Great. Yeah, great save. Take it.
Who is that guy?
Well, if I had to cast my vote for player of the game right now, I think it would be the goaltender for Sweden, Peter Lindmark. Watch this sprawling save on Dusan Paschek. That's the second save that he's made of that type. Earlier in the first period, he robbed Ruzicka. He has held Sweden in the match.
Mighty big save right there. It keeps it at 1-0 Sweden, but the Czech press on Paschek again. His shot just off the target. For Sweden, Peter Eriksson fails to clear, getting bumped heavily into the board. Rink wide on the left side for the Czechs. Sherban gets a weak drive away, but they keep it in the zone, pouring more pressure on Sweden. It is left there. Bonnie, that is out over the blue line, and the late shot in results in the offside call.
There's the captain of the Czechoslovakian team, Dusan Paschek, probably their best all-around athlete as well. You can see he's property of the Minnesota North Stars, and there's a rumor that he's going to end up in Minnesota after the 88 Olympics, which will be played in Calgary. I'm not sure how that's going to happen. He's only 27 years old, and the policy in Czechoslovakia is to release players only after they put in 10 years of service, and unless he was playing on this team at the age of 17, hard to say.
Well, there's a possibility of even some Soviets joining the National Hockey League perhaps as the season unfolds. Likely not until after the Olympic Games in Calgary in February of '88. Sweden brings it away. On the left side of the line comes Anders Carlson. He is turned back. The Czechs gaining momentum as this period continues here at the 4.5-minute mark. They have constantly applied the pressure, but have not been able to score yet on the power play. And as Bill Clement said, Peter Lindmark very likely is the player of this game at this stage for Team Sweden. Both having trouble in his own zone clearing. The Swedes buzzing around in the corner. Carlson can't come up with it. Czechoslovakia now brings it away at the blue line and to the center red line. Block gets turned back. Anders Eldebrink lets one go from outside the line on a fine save by Paschek. He wasn't sure if it was coming, but it sure came hard. Bolt now for Czechoslovakia. Driving it down to the Swedish corner. Pops over two defenders. Is touched by Czechoslovakia. Was whistled down, though, by the referee. And the faceoff will come back at center ice. I think they retraced their steps on that one.
Well, he was calling, I believe, an icing call. And
nobody touched him.
Two Swedes came within a hair of touching the puck. They let it go. And the Soviet linesman, there he is, Belanovsky, kind of jumped the gun and whistled it down. So the faceoff is at center and not back deep in the Czechoslovakian end.
5 minutes and 15 seconds gone in the second period. Czechoslovakia gaining momentum as they go along here. Winning it back in the center ice area, but being met by a yellow wave of angry Swedish bees every time they try to penetrate the center red line. Long pass on the left side. For Lubina around behind the net. They can't keep it in at the line. And it's brought back to center ice for the Czechs to reorganize. changing on the go. A weak pass, easily broken up. They knock with it as they have to retreat once again. Rink wide over on the far side. And they squeeze it inside the Swedish blue line. Bolek in the corner. Bouncing puck knocked down to the Swedish defense. But still inside that zone, and finally back to center ice for Sweden. This is Pettersson. Simply shoots it in behind the net. Swedes are tired. They want to change. They'll do it, but the Czechs bring it out as Czechoslovakia brings it ahead across the blue line. Ferdina left it there. Shot blocked by the defense. Sweden with it now. Play beginning to open up a little more end-to-end here in the second period. Swedes with Masklin as he digs across the left side. Swings around the net. Dumps it in front. And a great scoring chance there for Peter Eriksson. It popped over his stick. Elvelin drives it back to the Czechoslovakian zone. 7 minutes gone in period 2. First the Czechs for the pressure in this period, and now briefly Sweden applying some heat to Czechoslovakia. Ferdina across the line, rolling in front of the Swedish scoring area, and brought back by Masklin. Masklin leaving it for Eldebrink. Shot down, and Sweden will change again on the go, as do the Czechs. Thomas Rundqvist for Sweden with it. Long lead pass ahead to Sundström. Steps inside the line, leaves it there for Nielsen. Too far back for Sundström, and it's out of the blue line once again. The Swedes fail to sustain it. Tommy Elvelin now driving it down the right boards for Sweden. Hoschek leading it for his defense player to clear. Here is the long shot deflected into the crowd from the stick of Anders Eldebrink. 8 minutes gone in the period. Still 1-0 Sweden on the Labatt Canada Cup. Play about to resume in period 2 in Regina, this pivotal game in the Canada Cup. Rundqvist on the face-off against Yuri Kuchera, Czechoslovakia. Nielsen forechecking in there, leaves it for Rundqvist. Rundqvist being hounded, gets it back to Johnson. Way over on the far circle for Nielsen. He couldn't control the long pass. And Czechoslovakia having trouble clearing as Nielsen takes over again. Rolls it across to the point man, broken up by Czechoslovakia, and back they come. Here comes Kuchera in. Good scoring shot, batted in the air over top of the net as Lindmark was a mile out of the goal. Knocked down with a high stick, but waved off by Paul Stewart, the American referee.
What a play by Peter Balch. He tipped it up in the air to get it by Lindmark. He took a swing at it chest height, caught it, but it hit the crossbar.
Boy, there are baseball scouts here that might look at him. It's like hitting a rising fastball with a very thin bat. Baynock for Czechoslovakia shoots it down at the doorstep of Peter Lindmark. Long pass ahead from the goalie, not touched by Sologren, would have been over 2 lines. That dies at the line. They still call it icing. The Czechoslovakians let it roll over the line, and Sweden's very unhappy about that call. This is the Labatt Canada Cup.
All right. Kind of an interesting call. When we left you, the Soviet linesman had raised his arm for an icing call, which noticeably to everyone watching was not an icing call. Referee Stewart overruled the linesman's call, moved the face-off from deep in the Swedish zone to center ice, even things up a little bit. I guess he didn't want the Iron Curtain countries to stick together on this one.
That's the second time that Soviet linesman's been confused on an icing call. Had the face-off at center ice. Swept across the goal mouth by Ruzicka for Czechoslovakia, but Sweden has it back to center as we approach the midway mark of this hockey game and the midway mark of the second period. Sweden clinging to a very precarious 1-0 lead. Lindmark leaves it over on the left board for Peter Anderson. He fails to clear. Now it is picked up and shot to center ice by Bergqvist, who is the game's only goal. Here's Telvin, dropping it for Sodergren, rolling it down to Telvin in behind the Czechoslovakian net. He circles, swings it back, and the swap shot is high off the glass, but the rebound is dangerous. Down goes Hoschek to pounce on it.
Boy, you can tell that the Swedes are well coached. There are a lot of interchangeable parts. That time, Telvin, who's a defenseman, got in deep behind Hasek, went around the net, and he passed it right out to the man that had taken his place, Bergquist. There's Bergquist's shot. He tried to get it on the fly, and he shot it over Hasek, came back out, and they poked away at a rebound. You know, the Swedes took this tournament as seriously as the Finns. They, like the Finns, practiced on a North American-sized ice rink just outside of Stockholm. The Finns did that. They shrunk an ice surface near Helsinki, so all teams taking it very seriously.
Big check there as the Czechoslovakian player Kadlec goes down hard. And the play continues right behind the Czech goal. Battling for it there for Sweden is Tom Eklund, and winning the battle for now. But now Czechoslovakia starts to play up the right side. Perdina, left wing relay coming in. Here's a dangerous thrust coming from the left side from Dolezal, sliding across the crease, and it bounces back down to the Czechoslovakian into the ice.
Well, you can see how dangerous the Czechs are when they're allowed to get that head of steam up coming through the neutral zone. That's what they did that time.
Very quick with it. About 9.5 minutes to play in the second period. Shot to an open wing and left there for Anders Eldebrink. Now Sweden coming away. Maston cruising on the right side. Sweeps in, can't win the puck. Czechoslovakia has a top check coming in, and he is checked away from the play. Bolek tries to carry on. Battling for a bouncing loose puck in the Swedish zone. Now in possession of Gustafsson. As the Czechs retreat, Sweden slowly brings it back up the ice. Right wing relay coming over here for Gustafsson. Beats the defender, swings in front, couldn't quite bring the puck with him. There'll be a stoppage in play and a slashing call here from referee Paul Stewart. Get it to you in a moment. This is the Labatt Canada Cup.
First power play. First power play for the Swedes. Well, we're finally going to get a chance to see the Swedish power play. You can see Jaroslav Bejnok, who's off for slashing here at 11 minutes. He wears number 9. Not a bad swipe. You know, Paul Stewart, the head referee, is to the left, way over on the other side of the ice. He spotted that through a maze of players. So we'll see Sweden's power play.
The fourth penalty involving illegal use of the stick today, so they're doing some hacking out there, Bill. Sweden with the power play opportunity. Rolls to Hasek, and he turns that one back. And it's finally shot down the ice. A bouncing puck, but Lindmark goes down to one knee to be sure he handles properly. 8 minutes and 40 seconds to play, and 1:40 in the penalty to Sweden. It was Bejnok, number 9. It was sentenced. And so far, the Swedish power play lackluster. Nilsson tries to make something of it now. Dumps it across on the right side. Gustafsson working his way down those boards. Left it there. Back for Johnson. Digs it over on the left side for Michael Telvin. Telvin trying to feed the slot weakly, and Czechoslovakia almost got a breakaway. The dangerous Hasek almost got loose.
And they really try and stress offense when they're killing penalties. We're watching the Czechs not to go into a shell in a box, but to attack, always looking for a break.
This is Naslund leaving it for Johnson over the left side. The shot blocked by the defenders. Telvin digs it in behind the Czechoslovakian goal. Nilsson now taking his time in the corner. Wants to make the perfect play. Almost did, but intercepted and brought back up by Czechoslovakia. The long drive handled by Lindmark, the rebound, and Kuchera was right there ever so dangerously. Now Nilsson for Sweden. Sending it across to Johnson. Down into the Czech zone again. Sweden changing on the go on the power play, which has 20 seconds remaining. They take their time setting it up, loading it across the edge of the circle in front of the goal crease. Eldebrink around the board. Back on the left point. Shot down beside the net. They bump forth there in the corner. Defending is Horshova for Czechoslovakia. They can't bring it out. Eldebrink lets the high glass go, and it's up way over top of the glass in the top row here at the Agrodome in Regina, Saskatchewan. The penalty has ended. They're back at full strength, and they fail to cash in on. A 1-0 game for Sweden on the Labatt Canada Cup.
There were parts of 5 NHL power plays in that first unit. Pieces of Nilsson in Edmonton, Naslund, Gustafsson, Telvin from Boston, and Thomas Jonsson. By the way, it's Jonsson. Jonsson from the Islanders.
Will take the face-off for Czechoslovakia just inside his own blue line against Michael Anderson for Sweden. Sweden continues to lead by the margin of 1 goal back there in that first period of play. Swedes putting pressure on here. Getting set for a shot. They score. It is number 2, Anders Eldebrink, high into the middle of the Czechoslovakia net. It is 2-0 for Sweden. Oh.
A couple of dipsy-doodle moves by Anders Eldebrink. You know, Hockey 101, or what you call it, Little League hockey, says take the man and not the puck. Well, watch the Czechs trying to stop Eldebrink. Here's one move. Look at the Czech turning away from him. Watch this next one. The dive, whoop, you leave your feet. He's pretty tough to recover once you commit and leave your feet, but 2 excellent moves by Eldebrink. Rifled a wrist shot by Hasek, and you can see that Hasek is forced to stay back in his net. He probably would have anyway, because that's his style. But he also had a Swedish offensive player right on his doorstep. So if Hasek comes out, he's handcuffed one way or the other. But nevertheless, great play by Eldebrink.
Who gets his first goal of the Canada Cup and boosts Sweden's lead to 2-0 over Czechoslovakia. Let's see what effect that has on the Czechs and certainly on the Swedes. He got a lift earlier in the last period on their first goal by Bergqvist. They put the pressure on again, shooting it down to the Czechoslovakian zone. Alvelin failed to keep it in. Gustafsson back in the center ice area. Feeds it across the ice for Anders Eldebrink, who scored that second goal. 6 minutes and 24 seconds to play in period 2. And you can't say Czechoslovakia has not had their opportunities today. They simply haven't made the most of them, certainly on the power play. Sherbai for the Czechs. Feeding Lubina. Rolled across the line, but kept inside. Offside, however, in the judgment of the Soviet linesman. 6:04 remaining now. And as we say, the team that loses this will be in pretty desperate straits, even though it is just the 3rd game of the round-robin Canada Cup Series. The assist on that goal by Anders Eldebrink was given to number 12, Michael Anderson, to make it 2-0 Sweden. Nilsson almost made a bad mistake there. Didn't get much wood on that pass. But Sweden brings it inside the line. Rink wide for Johnson. In behind the goal, tied up there by 2 Czech defenders, and Saba comes away with it on the right wing. Hits the Swedish blue line. Hasek trailing on the play. And Sweden recovers in their own zone. Off the board, the relay at the blue line. And Johnson on the Swedish line feeds it ahead. They get stymied. Nielsen does inside the Czech zone. 5 minutes and 20 seconds to play in period 2. Saba failing to sustain the play for Czechoslovakia. And this is a very busy man, Miroslav Orshava for Czechoslovakia, who's been getting a lot of ice time, and as Bill Clement said, has been virtually everywhere on this frozen pond here in Regina, Saskatchewan today. Sweden changing on the fly now. His block brings it ahead for Czechoslovakia, getting a chance to left side, 1 move away from a direct confrontation with Lindmark, and he didn't get it. Quick shot, just a piece of it there from Volk. Back to center it comes, and down to the Czechoslovakian zone. Bojic sending Kuchera away in the right wing. Kuchera's shot, quick drive, handled by Lindberg and shot back to the corner. Or Peter Lindmark, that is, the goalie for Sweden. Less than 4.5 minutes to go in the second period. And the frustration on the part of Czechoslovakia appears to be mounting as this period progresses. Telvin, long lead pass, just broken up at the Czechoslovakian line. Lubina with it inside the line with Ruzicka. They can't connect. And flips softly back inside the zone. Lubina starts the play to Lubina. Lubina fakes the shot. His critic Markle wasn't there, as Ruzicka had turned away. Eklund now for Sweden, driving it off the board. They pounce on him, go right back in after him, trying to make the play in front. Tying up in the corner is Anderson. They grab there. 2 players go down. There'll be a delayed penalty on the play. It'll be the Swedes. Now they have possession. It'll be called against the Swedish team. So again, we'll see the Czech power play, which has been fruitless so far this afternoon. This is the Labatt Canada Cup. Tom Eklund gets a 2-minute cross-checking penalty at 16:23. They're sure using the stick today, Bill.
Oh, they sure are. As you mentioned, and we've talked about it being such a pivotal game, there's the cross-check right at the top of your screen. Dangerous cross-check, too. A lot of people don't get up from hits like that in the
You're
back.
right. 2-0 Sweden with 3.5 minutes to go, but again, they've got to withstand the Czechoslovakian power play, which now forms behind the Czech goal. The dangerous Yuri Hrdina leaving it there for Dolezal. They hit the line. Dolezal just shoots it in beside the Swedish goal, goes around the boards, and finally Sweden brings it back over the blue line to center ice. Asplund going down on the play. Gets up very quickly, wins the puck, and almost got a shot away. Asplund appears to be everywhere for the Swedish team. With less than 3 minutes to go in the period, a minute 20 in the penalty. Hrdina couldn't penetrate the Swedish defense. Now it is Dolezal. Stopped by Lindmark behind his goal. Left there for Eldebrink. He scored the 2nd goal for Sweden here in this period. Kadlec for Dolezal. Gets it ahead. Ravolik inside the blue line. He gets hit by 2 defenders. They go down. He carries on. There's going to be a penalty call here. An elbowing call by referee Paul Stewart. A very busy man again here in this 2nd period. And Sweden's going to be in a big, big hole here now with a 2nd player going to the box.
Boy, they sure are. Here's Bolek coming across, and he almost falls into it. You can see number 9 for Sweden. That's Rundqvist following the play, but it's number 2, Eldebrink, that I think is going to get the penalty. Yeah, that's who it is. And it almost looked as if Bolek fell into it. Had Eldebrink brought his arms down, he might have avoided the call, but you're right, Don. That puts them in a very serious hole now.
Well, there's still 53 seconds to go on the first penalty. They will have a 2-man advantage unless they score for that time. And the conversation going on now with the official about the fact that certainly the Czechoslovakian player, Bolek, who kept right on going, was much the worse for wear. The 2 Swedish players down in the pile, and as you say, Bolek very well may have fallen into that and made it look more than it was. Just 3 yellow shirts in front of goalie Peter Lindmark now. Vladimir Ruzicka will take the face-off for Czechoslovakia to the left of Lindmark on the power play, and he wins it to Hrdina. Horsheva taking his time. Plays it down into the left corner. Back out again in the slot. Shot is faked. Given to Horsheva instead. He makes the pass down to the left corner. Horsheva again getting set. Can't find an opening. Puts it over on the right side. Gets it back again. Fakes the shot. Waiting. Here it is. And it's wide of the goal. 25 seconds now in the first penalty. They'll be short 2 men for at least that time. Horsheva gets it back. Winding. Makes the pass instead across the goal crease. Rebound. And number 10, Rosal. Unsuccessful there on 2 occasions getting it across. Horsheva winding with a shot, and Lindmark has it right in the breadbasket with 6 seconds left in the first Swedish penalty.
And Horsheva is talking to himself back on the blue line. He went down into a crouch after he fired it right into Lindmark, and now Paul Stewart's calling at least a penalty on Rosal, number 10 from Czechoslovakia. I'm not sure whether it's a coincidental or not.
It looks to be Rosal all by himself going in. Will take the steam out of this power play.
Let's take a look after the fact. You can see Rosal moving in on Lindmark, and it looked from here as if all he did was put his stick in front of his face. Certainly didn't make a move to hit him. There you can see Paul Stewart on the left of your screen, the head referee, calling the penalty.
Peter Rosal of Czechoslovakia.
That was a pretty good penalty killing job by... There it is, he called it high sticking, but excellent penalty killing. You know, when the Swedes were faced with a Czechoslovakian setup high in the zone, what they did is play 2 men high and 1 man in deep against Lindmark, and the Czechs seemed as if they wanted to gear their power play from up high. Well, they had absolutely no results. I'm wondering if we happen to see a 5-on-3, a two-man disadvantage, if they won't try and work the power play from in deep, from the low end, from in behind the net.
Well, in 6 seconds now, the Swedes will be back at full strength. Declan about to step back on the ice, and here he comes. So they have withstood their 5th power play from Czechoslovakia successfully. Michael Telvin on the near right board. Dropping it back for Albalin. Ahead for Gustafsson, broken up by Czechoslovakia, and a quick check made there at the blue line to turn that play back by Mats Naslund. As we say, he seems to be everywhere, and here he is inside the Czechoslovakian line. In behind the goal, taken down, sliding on the play, no penalty called, and Czechoslovakia comes up with it. Just over a minute to play here in the second period. The teams each playing a man short now. It is 2-0 for Sweden over Team Czechoslovakia. Leva's shot, that is blocked easily by Peter Lindmark for Telvin behind his own goal. He sends Kilson away on the right side. That was Nielsen with it. Back for Telvin again. Stops at the line. No offside. The Swedes carry right on with 25 seconds to go in the period now. Loose puck in front. Backhand drive. Handled by the Czech goalie Hasek. And play goes right on. Gulped down the ice by Czechoslovakia. It is the Swedes now for 30 seconds who have the power play advantage as their second penalized player is back on the ice. Long lead pass for Carlson, and that will do it for period 2. Sweden getting a goal in each of the first 2 periods here today. When the third period starts, there will still be 17 seconds left in the Swedish power play. It has been all Sweden so far in terms of scoring, but not necessarily in terms of the play. And a very frustrated Czech team we're going to talking to from their coach, Dr. Jan Starzy, at the intermission, I'm sure. 2-0 for Sweden after 40 minutes. This is the Labatt Canada Cup.
Joining me now in our intermission studio